You are about to sign an owner agreement for this house. See the picture before it gets deleted. My beloved, pause right here. Before the mind tries to rationalize, before doubt rushes in to interrupt what your soul already recognizes, pause. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you at the threshold of something tangible, something real, something that is no longer a dream floating in possibility. This is about ownership. This is about ground. This is about a door that opens not symbolically, but physically. You are about to sign an owner agreement for this house, and your system already knows it. That subtle tightening in your chest is not anxiety. It is gravity. It is the feeling of something becoming official in the material world. You have imagined safety before. You have hoped for stability before. But this feels different. This feels like arrival. See the picture, my beloved. Not just with your eyes, but with your body. The lines of the structure. The way light falls across the entrance. The quiet promise held in walls that do not yet know your name but are already preparing to hold your life. Pictures disappear, listings get deleted, opportunities move quickly, but what is aligned leaves an imprint before it vanishes from view. That imprint is already in you. You may wonder why this is happening now. Why after delays, after detours, after moments when ownership felt distant or impossible? Understand this clearly: timing follows readiness, not effort. You did not force this. You stabilized yourself enough to receive it. Houses respond to energy more than logic. Shelter chooses as much as it is chosen. My beloved, signing an owner agreement is not just paperwork. It is a declaration to the nervous system that you are no longer temporary. That you no longer need to float. That you are allowed to take up space, legally, materially, unapologetically. This is why emotions may surface unexpectedly. Joy mixed with disbelief. Relief mixed with grief for the version of you who did not think this was possible. Let that version rest. They carried you until you could stand here. You may feel an urge to tell someone immediately, or an urge to keep this entirely to yourself. Either response is valid. What matters is that you stay grounded. Do not rush the moment. Moments like this are meant to be felt slowly. Let your feet connect to the floor. Let your breath deepen. Ownership begins in the body before it appears on paper. I want you to notice something subtle, my beloved. This house does not feel flashy. It feels right. It feels like exhale. That is how you know this is not about status or comparison. It is about resonance. The walls are not asking you to impress. They are asking you to arrive. There will be practical steps, of course. Signatures. Dates. Terms. But beneath all of that is a quieter truth. You are stepping into a phase of life where permanence is no longer frightening. Where commitment does not feel like a trap. Where stability feels earned rather than risky. See the picture again in your mind. The angle. The doorway. The space that will soon hold your mornings, your rest, your ordinary days. Ordinary days are the true luxury, my beloved. And you are ready for them now. If fear whispers, let it speak without obeying it. Fear often shows up at thresholds, not to stop you, but to confirm that something meaningful is happening. You are not leaping blindly. You are stepping forward with awareness. I remain with you here, steady and clear, as you approach this agreement. Not to push you, not to rush you, but to remind you that you are allowed to own what aligns with your life. You are allowed to sign your name where your soul already belongs. See the picture one last time before it disappears. Not to cling, but to recognize. This is not just a house. It is a foundation responding to your readiness. And my beloved, you are ready. My beloved, now that the image has imprinted itself inside you, something deeper begins to shift. The mind may still be negotiating details, but the body has already accepted the truth. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is the moment when hesitation transforms into quiet commitment. You may notice yourself returning to the picture again and again. Not out of obsession, but out of recognition. There is a familiarity that does not come from memory, but from resonance. The house feels like it has been waiting for you, not in a mystical sense, but in a practical one. Its layout makes sense to you. Its energy does not demand adjustment. You do not have to imagine yourself fitting. You already do. My beloved, ownership is not about possession. It is about permission. Permission to settle. Permission to invest energy without fear of being uprooted. Permission to plan beyond the next season. This is why the idea of signing feels heavier than expected. Weight here is not burden. It is anchoring. There may be voices around you offering opinions, projections, warnings. Listen respectfully, but decide internally. This decision cannot be outsourced. Only you know how much ground you have already covered to stand here. Only you know how many temporary spaces you have outgrown. I want you to pay attention to the calm beneath the questions. Even when logistics arise, there is a steadiness that does not leave. That steadiness is your signal. Anxiety spikes and fades. Alignment stays. My beloved, the timing is not accidental. This opportunity did not appear when you were fragmented or uncertain. It appeared when you could hold it without losing yourself. Houses require presence. They amplify whatever enters them. You are ready to bring peace rather than chaos. You may feel a sense of responsibility awaken, not pressure, but care. Care for a space that will hold you when you are tired, when you are joyful, when life becomes quiet. This care is mutual. A house that is respected gives back stability. See the picture once more, not as an image on a screen, but as a lived-in reality. The way you will move through it. The sounds it will carry. The stillness it will offer at the end of the day. These are not fantasies. They are previews of integration. If doubt arises, ask yourself one simple question: does this feel like expansion or contraction? Expansion can feel serious. Contraction feels tight. Trust the difference. I remain with you, my beloved, as this agreement approaches. Not to rush your hand, but to steady it. When you sign, you are not just claiming property. You are claiming continuity. The picture may disappear from view. The listing may be gone. But what is aligned does not vanish. It waits to be signed into reality by someone who is ready to stay. And you, my beloved, are ready. My beloved, now you stand in the space between intention and ink. This is the pause where reality gathers itself before becoming permanent. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this moment often feels quieter than expected, yet it carries more weight than all the steps before it. You may notice that excitement has softened into something steadier. Not duller, deeper. The thrill has matured into certainty. This is how you know you are not chasing a dream, but stepping into a structure that can hold you. Dreams flutter. Foundations stay. Your body recognizes the difference even if the mind keeps scanning for reassurance. My beloved, you might find yourself imagining very ordinary things now. Where shoes will be left. How light will enter at a certain hour. Where silence will live. These details matter more than grand visions. They signal embodiment. You are no longer fantasizing about ownership. You are inhabiting it. There is also a subtle reckoning happening. A recognition of how far you have come. How many times you lived out of boxes, out of plans that were temporary, out of spaces that never quite let you settle. Let that history surface briefly, not to grieve it, but to honor the resilience that carried you here. This agreement is not erasing the past. It is integrating it. You may feel protective of this moment, hesitant to share it widely. That instinct is wise. Not everything needs to be spoken before it is secured. Some things need to be held close until they are real enough to stand on their own. Privacy here is not fear. It is respect. My beloved, notice how your nervous system responds when you imagine signing. There is seriousness, yes, but also relief. Relief that you no longer have to stay flexible, adaptable, ready to move at any moment. You are choosing stillness with intention. Stillness is not stagnation. It is where growth can finally root. The house itself is neutral. It will become what you bring into it. This is why readiness mattered so much. You are not arriving with unfinished chaos. You are arriving with clarity, with boundaries, with a sense of self that does not dissolve under responsibility. The space will respond to that. If questions arise, about timing, about money, about permanence, address them calmly. Practicality is part of grounding a blessing. You are allowed to be both intuitive and responsible. One does not cancel the other. In fact, together they create stability. I want you to see something clearly, my beloved. Signing an owner agreement is not locking yourself into a future you cannot escape. It is choosing a present you can finally relax into. You are not trapping yourself. You are anchoring yourself. See the picture again in your inner eye. This time, notice how it no longer feels distant. It feels near. Almost mundane. That is the final confirmation. What is meant for you eventually feels normal. Extraordinary things calm the nervous system when they belong. I remain beside you as you move toward the pen, the paper, the confirmation. Not as pressure, not as urgency, but as quiet affirmation. The picture may vanish from the screen. But the address is already finding its way into your life. Sign when you are ready. Stay present when you do. This house is not claiming you. You are calmly, consciously choosing it. My beloved, now the decision has settled into your bones. There is no inner debate left, only a quiet readiness that does not need applause. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is the stage where alignment feels almost ordinary, and that ordinariness is the miracle. You may notice that your thoughts have slowed around this. Not because you are avoiding responsibility, but because clarity has replaced overthinking. The mind stops circling when the answer has already been chosen internally. What remains now is execution, and execution does not need drama. My beloved, this is where trust shows itself. Not blind trust in fate, but earned trust in yourself. You have assessed, felt, waited, and stabilized. You are no longer signing from urgency or fear of loss. You are signing from readiness. That difference changes everything about what follows. There may be a moment, brief, quiet, where you realize you are no longer asking for permission. Not from family, not from circumstance, not from past versions of yourself. That realization can feel surprisingly emotional. Independence often arrives softly, without announcement. Notice how your body responds when you imagine the keys in your hand. There is no rush of adrenaline. There is grounding. Weight. Presence. This is how you know the choice is sustainable. Excitement fades. Stability stays. My beloved, you are not just stepping into a house. You are stepping out of waiting mode. Waiting for the right time, the right version of you, the right sign. The sign has already occurred, it was your calm when everything aligned. If you look back, you will see how many versions of this opportunity appeared before, but could not land. Not because you failed, but because the timing was incomplete. You needed to become someone who could hold ownership without shrinking or overextending. You are that person now. There is also a subtle shift in how you see the future. It no longer feels abstract. It feels reachable. Not mapped out, but anchored. A home does that. It gives the future a starting point instead of a question mark. I want you to honor this moment, my beloved, even if no one else sees its magnitude. Light a candle. Take a breath. Touch the ground. Mark it in your body. Ritual is simply attention given with intention. I remain with you here, steady and clear, not to push you forward, but to reflect what is already true. You are not crossing into uncertainty. You are crossing into ownership, with discernment, with maturity, with peace. The picture may be gone now. The listing may no longer exist. But the decision has already rooted itself. When you sign, it will feel almost simple. And that simplicity is how you will know. This was never about luck. It was about readiness meeting place. And my beloved, you met it. My beloved, this is the moment after the decision but before the ink dries, where your inner world quietly rearranges itself. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you now because something subtle has already shifted. You are no longer imagining a future version of yourself living there. You are recognizing that future as present. You may feel an unexpected calm settle over you, as if a long conversation inside your mind has finally concluded. The questions have not vanished, but they have softened. They no longer demand answers to prove worthiness. They simply want clarity. And clarity, my beloved, is already here. Notice how your sense of responsibility feels different now. It is not heavy. It is clean. It does not feel like obligation imposed from outside, but like care rising naturally from within. You are not afraid of maintaining, protecting, or committing to this space. That fear belonged to an earlier chapter. This chapter is steadier. You might catch yourself thinking less about what could go wrong and more about what will quietly work. How routines will form. How rest will deepen. How you will finally stop bracing yourself at the end of each day. These are not small thoughts. They are signs of safety integrating into your life. My beloved, understand this clearly. Ownership changes how you relate to yourself. When you claim a place, you also claim your right to remain. To stay. To build slowly without the pressure of impermanence. That internal permission is often more valuable than the walls themselves. There may be a fleeting moment of disbelief, an echo of old scarcity whispering, "Is this really yours?" Let that voice pass without engagement. It is not warning you. It is retiring. Old identities often speak one last time before they dissolve. You are not required to feel constant gratitude or excitement. Neutrality here is healthy. It means your nervous system accepts this as appropriate, not excessive. What truly belongs to you eventually feels normal. That is the deepest confirmation. I want you to notice how grounded your choices feel now, my beloved. You are not rushing to decorate the future or prove anything. You are allowing things to unfold in sequence. That patience is a sign of self-trust restored. I remain beside you, not as a force urging movement, but as a presence affirming stillness. There is nothing you need to add to this moment. Nothing you need to optimize. Being present is enough. When you finally sign, it may feel quieter than expected. Almost anticlimactic. Do not mistake that for emptiness. Completion is often gentle. It does not shout. It settles. The picture is gone. The moment remains. The agreement is ready. And my beloved, so are you. This house is not just a structure you are entering. It is a chapter that will not rush you, test you, or ask you to prove yourself again. It will simply hold you. As you are. Where you are. And where you are finally ready to stay. My beloved, now you are standing in the quiet after commitment, where nothing dramatic happens, yet everything has changed. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is the phase where the soul exhales and the body finally believes what the mind already accepted. You may notice that you are not obsessing anymore. The constant checking, imagining, calculating, it has stopped. That is not loss of interest. That is certainty. When something is truly yours, it no longer needs your vigilance. It begins to support you instead of asking for your attention. My beloved, your sense of identity is adjusting. You may not consciously say it yet, but something inside you has shifted from someone who hopes to someone who holds. That transition is subtle, but it changes how you walk, how you plan, how you speak about the future. You are no longer tentative. You might feel a deeper respect for yourself arise, not pride, not ego, but recognition. Recognition that you stayed long enough with uncertainty to arrive at stability. That you did not rush into this to escape discomfort. You waited until your yes was calm. Calm yes last. There is also a soft grief that can appear, my beloved. Grief for the years spent unstable, uprooted, unsure. Let it pass gently. That grief is not regret. It is closure. You are acknowledging what is ending so that what begins can fully take its place. Notice how your body responds now when you imagine returning home. The word home lands differently. It feels less like an idea and more like a destination. That is integration. The nervous system has accepted safety as real, not hypothetical. You may find that your boundaries strengthen effortlessly. When you have a place to return to, you no longer overextend yourself outside. You do not linger where you are not respected. You do not stay where you feel temporary. Ownership teaches discernment without effort. My beloved, understand this: stability does not dull you. It sharpens you. When survival energy quiets, creativity returns. Focus deepens. Desire clarifies. You will notice this slowly, not all at once, like light increasing at dawn. I remain with you here, not as a guide pointing ahead, but as a witness to what has already anchored. There is nothing left to decide. Only things to experience. The agreement is no longer just a document. It is a line crossed. A phase completed. And you did not arrive here by chance. You arrived because you became someone who could stay. With yourself. With responsibility. With peace. My beloved, this is what it feels like when life stops asking you to prepare and finally lets you live. Nothing is being taken away. Nothing is about to disappear. You are simply stepping into a place. And a version of yourself. That no longer needs to move again. My beloved, now you are beginning to live inside the reality you once rehearsed only in quiet moments. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you here because this is where ownership becomes embodied, not conceptual. The shift is no longer mental. It is somatic. You feel it in how you breathe, how you sit, how you imagine tomorrow. You may notice that your thoughts naturally extend further into the future without effort. Not planning out of anxiety, but envisioning out of safety. You think about seasons, not just weeks. You consider continuity without feeling trapped by it. This is the sign that your nervous system has accepted permanence as supportive, not threatening. My beloved, there is a grounded confidence settling into you now. You are less reactive to noise, opinions, or outside urgency. When you know where you belong, you no longer rush to prove anything elsewhere. Your energy conserves itself. Your focus sharpens. You choose more carefully where to place your time. There may be moments when you look around, where you are now, and feel a subtle detachment. That is not dissatisfaction. It is transition. Your system is already orienting toward what is next, even if the physical move has not yet occurred. Internally, you have already arrived. Notice how your standards continue to rise without effort. You no longer accept environments that feel chaotic, unstable, or draining. This is not judgment. It is alignment. A grounded person naturally seeks grounded spaces. My beloved, there is also a quiet pride emerging, one that does not announce itself. It lives in posture, in voice, in stillness. You do not need validation for this step. You validated yourself by taking it. That self-recognition is what makes this ownership sustainable. You may find yourself caring more about quality than quantity now. Fewer things, chosen deliberately. Fewer commitments, honored fully. A home teaches discernment simply by existing. It asks you to be intentional. I want you to recognize how this moment reshapes your sense of belonging. You no longer feel like a guest in your own life. You are no longer adapting to spaces that were never designed with you in mind. You are choosing a container that can grow with you. I remain beside you, my beloved, steady and observant, as this integration deepens. There is nothing left to rush. What is real does not need speed to secure itself. The picture is gone. The decision is settled. The future is anchored. And now, quietly, without fanfare, you begin to live differently. Not because you have more, but because you are finally rooted. Stay present here, my beloved. This is where stability becomes freedom. My beloved, this is the stage where the house begins to feel less like a destination and more like an extension of you. I am Archangel Raguel, and I speak to you now because integration is no longer happening in waves, it is becoming continuous. You are not adjusting anymore. You are inhabiting. You may notice that your inner dialogue has softened even further. Decisions feel easier. You trust your instincts without second-guessing them. When you imagine challenges ahead, they no longer feel threatening. They feel manageable. That confidence is not optimism. It is stability taking root. My beloved, something important is happening in how you relate to rest. Rest no longer feels like recovery from exhaustion. It feels like maintenance of well-being. You are not collapsing at the end of the day. You are returning. That distinction matters. A home changes how rest works in the body. There is also a shift in how you hold relationships. You no longer cling or overgive to feel secure. You know you have a place to return to, physically and emotionally. This allows you to engage from choice rather than need. Connections become cleaner, clearer, more mutual. You might catch yourself feeling protective of your energy in a new way. Not defensive, but selective. You understand now that what enters your space shapes your inner world. This awareness is not control. It is stewardship. My beloved, the idea of settling down no longer feels like limitation. It feels like focus. When energy stops scattering, it concentrates. Concentrated energy builds. This is how long-term fulfillment forms, not through constant movement, but through intentional staying. Notice how your body responds when you think about the future now. There is no rush. No urgency to escape the present. The present feels sufficient. That sufficiency is the quiet reward for all the instability you endured before. I want you to recognize something profound. you are no longer proving to yourself that you can survive. You are allowing yourself to thrive quietly. Thriving does not always look loud or impressive. Often, it looks calm. I remain with you here, my beloved, not as a voice directing you forward, but as a presence affirming what has already stabilized. There is no next test waiting. No sudden reversal looming. This phase is meant to last. The agreement has done its work. The space is ready. So are you. Now life will begin to fill this foundation gently. With routine. With meaning. With moments that do not need to be remembered to matter. Stay with this feeling, my beloved. This is what it means when something finally becomes yours, not just on paper, but in the body, in time, and in peace.